Hey, everybody, and welcome to another night of Women's World of Fishing Monday Night Takeover. And tonight I am without Angie again. And I just want to give a couple of minutes for the feeds to go out. Angie, I'm not sure if you're still on the road or if you've made it to Wisconsin yet, but I hope you and Dana had a safe trip. I hope you guys will have fun with your families. And I hope that you guys are going to catch some fish while you're up there. Um, it's actually been a lot cooler here in Kentucky, and I actually got the boat out for the first time in probably 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. So for this episode, I was kind of low on my tackle to show everybody because some of my tackle went back to the boat. Um, but I did round up some stuff because tonight we're going to be talking about bait selection. Um, because, we've kind of covered the where to go fishing, I guess you could say, when you're beginning to fish. And most people don't start out fishing, from a boat. Most of us try to find places where we live to go fishing. So we're going to kind of start it there. Um, but tonight, so that I wasn't completely alone for the show, I begged one of my very new friends, although I didn't have to beg very hard. But I asked her to join me. Um, and she's actually not from Facebook, and she's not from Twitter, and she is not from Instagram. She is from TikTok. Can you believe I met a friend on TikTok? Yes, I did, because I am now on TikTok. But she is so cool. I already love her to death. I will be fishing with her, I have no doubt, very soon. Angie, you will as well. The LBAA, she is already on her way. I have no doubt that we will see her soon, probably in 2022. um because she's one of the serious ones. I can already tell, you just get that feeling. So I'm going to bring her on, if she's ready to go, and introduce her and just have her tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll go from there, because she actually just transitioned from fishing to the bank to fishing from a boat. So we'll bring her on and get to know her a little bit. Megan, you ready? Okay.
Hi.
All right, Megan. Thank you so much. And just so everybody knows, her Instagram and her TikTok is Fishing Unhooked. So you can definitely look her up and
Mhm.
follow her. And I will make sure it's in the description so you don't have to write it down. So, Megan,
Thanks for having me. I'm so
no,
excited.
no problem. I was super glad that you were like, sure, I'll do it.
Of course. Why not?
So glad to have you here. Tell us, like, what has your fishing journey been like?
My fishing journey. So I grew up on a lake. And my family and I lived on the lake all the time. Like in the evenings we'd go out. We'd actually stay out on the weekends, but we didn't really like fish. We were just like partiers. I mean, I was a baby, so I wasn't, but they,
Sure, that explains a
you
lot.
know, and we would still fish. And we'd fish a lot off the dock, and I'd catch like fishing poles and chairs and all that stuff. And it was just fun back then, you know.
Right,
I was really, really tiny, like, and I remember catching big gars. I mean, I was tiny, so they were probably like, this big, but to me,
right.
they're huge. And so
They're huge.
it was just fun. Um, but I used to always be so scared of fish when I was swimming in the lake, but I had no problem like touching them. Anyways, so
I'm still like that.
right, it's just weird. And so I did that, and didn't really fish much after that. Like I'd fish here and there throughout middle school and high school, but it was nothing serious. And then I met Kevin, who was incredibly serious about fishing. He would do any chance he got, and
Right.
so we fished. We fished a lot, and I got good at it. Like he would teach me stuff, and I would catch on very, very quickly. So I've been very successful in the short amount of time that I have been fishing because I do take it seriously. I'm very passionate about it. I'm very competitive. We have unannounced competitions between each other all the time about who can catch the most fish, who's catching the big
Right.
fish, who catches the first fish, and we make bets on it, like who's gonna make dinner that night.
That's
But
awesome.
so it's fun.
That's a lot to lose because after you get done fishing, you don't want to go home and make dinner.
No, especially if we've been out all day. Like, I mean, we're pretty serious about it. We try whenever the stars align and we can literally fish all day. We get out at daybreak. We have a line in the water, if not before then, if we can, and then we'll come home to feed the dog lunch because we have a doggy door, and so we just leave the door open,
Right.
and then feed the dog lunch and fish again till sundown.
Yep.
We
It's
just love it.
long days.
Sometimes we don't even catch fish.
You know, I did everybody hear that? I just want to make sure that for people that are here because you're new to fishing and like you heard her say like she has come a long way, she is passionate, she loves it, she's
Hmm.
competitive, but she still has those days where she doesn't catch a fish and it does not deter her. Like that's
Part of
part of it.
it's part of it.
Right, it's just part of it, and if you have a boat it doesn't change.
So,
Like your TikTok when you did the one and you were like on the boat and you're like, why didn't anybody tell me that you could buy a boat and you're still not going to catch a fish? I was like, you know what? I should still duet that. I can't believe I'm using TikTok lingo.
I said this, and then I'm addicted very quickly,
No.
but it's fun.
I know it is. It's just completely different to what I'm used to doing,
Very
um
so.
but it's something that if you're in the social media world and doing stuff like it's a necessity. But
Hmm.
when I saw you do that video, I was like, yes, yes, because it is true. And I think getting people to understand that and accept it is hard. I mean, I've had a boat, I've been fishing from a boat for a long time,
Hmm.
and like I, what I said, if you heard what I said in the beginning, like this past weekend was the first time I've had my boat out in a long, long time, and I was still sitting there, and I was like, we probably should have gone to the pond around the corner, you know.
But pond fishing is very unpredictable,
It
especially
is.
if you're in a heavily populated area like us in Fort Worth. Ponds are so overfished, and so you have to be very strategic and mindful about what you're throwing, and think about how many
Yep.
people have been here at this pond and thrown the exact same thing.
Hmm.
You have to mix it up some, even if it's just the color. I mean,
Right.
your presentation, how you're working your rod. Don't
Right.
do that.
Well, and like pond fish get really smart. So I
Mhm.
I mean, and I've said that before. You are 100% right. But it just goes like to the mindset of like how tough bass fishing can be. And I'm not saying that to deter anybody. Get motivated about it.
Right.
Like
It's
that should like like fire you up.
yeah,
It's a
but
puzzle.
people just aren't like that. Like if you're not a competitive person or if you don't get fired up over the tug, then that's obviously not your thing, but it is incredibly difficult. Bass are so smart,
Finicky.
so smart and finicky. Yes.
Mhm.
So,
And it might just not be the species for you either, like because bass fishing, it is like a different puzzle every day. And I
mhm,
still think that there's a lot about bass that humans don't know. Like, I really believe that. Like, scientists and the fish and wildlife people and whatever they can say that we know everything there is to know about bass based on barometric pressure and moon and this and colors and the depth and all. I still don't think that we know everything about bass fishing because
No,
we catch them more often.
it's a it's a different species than us. Like we'll never
Right.
full scope of bass.
Right. And people who, you know, are into fishing and just don't like that kind of fishing. I've said this the last couple of episodes. I'm shocked at how many carp fishermen I've found on TikTok. Like I didn't even know
Like
that was a thing,
apparently.
you know? Like and these aren't people who are bow fishing.
No.
Like these are people like I had no idea. I blown away.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things that people can do, but I think it's probably because of the group that Angie and I run with. A lot of the majority of the questions that we get are bass related because
You-
you know, that's who we run with, I guess,
Yeah.
you know. And so me and Angie both have it. Like we have that bug. Like, you say like, I'll catch a fish, yeah, I've gone weeks without catching a fish.
Seriously. It's yeah. We we were so I was tired of bank fishing just because we fished Lake Whitney a lot. We fished ponds too, but I was so tired of bank fishing because I hate bugs. I hate bugs.
Hmm.
And so we got kayaks and we had them for like probably 9 months. I never caught a fish on it. Never.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't take them out very often whatsoever.
Right.
I hooked up like two, but they both got off. And I was so irritated. I'm a very clumsy person. So
Oh dear. You
yeah,
know how to swim, right?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean
You'd
I
be surprised that people that fish all the time don't know how to swim.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
So we tried that, but yeah, I mean, it's just a totally different world.
well, I know a lot of people um who kayak fish and they feel the same about a boat. They're like, "Gosh, this is so different fishing all the way up here." And I think it's the same. Like I haven't fished from a kayak, but people who made that transition, they say that it's being that low to the water, setting a hook is completely different. And, so I think that any type of transition like that is always going to be tough. And I mean, you and I have talked about your future plans and everything. So it was just you were just supposed to get that boat and go out on Lake Whitney and do your thing. Like it was,
Yeah.
you weren't supposed to like those kayaks.
Yeah, right.
you know,
But it kind of goes back to fishing with confidence because I never felt confident in the kayak. Probably because so early on when I did hook into those fish, like I missed them. And
Mhm.
I hooked onto them, but I lost them on the way to the kayak. And I think it's just because I wasn't used to the fish like being in like such open water and being
Yeah,
towards me. And so I couldn't get a good hook set. And so I wasn't confident fishing in it. So I was never motivated to take them out and continue fishing. And
yeah,
but you gotta have confidence in your lures, your gear, your boat, or whatever
everything.
fishing. It's very important. Like I think it's great to try new stuff, but if you're continually getting skunked trying new stuff, go back to your basics and what
Go back to
what
the
you
base.
know and what you're comfortable with.
We had Pam Martin Wells on here. Oh goodness, in May after she won. Or no, it was in the summertime, a couple months ago. But she had just won and the Angler of the Year for the women's tour, and she had won that tournament. And she was kind of going through and saying the same thing, like you have to be, um, you know, have your confidence stuff and be comfortable going outside of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
but finding that middle ground,
Mhm.
and it just anybody who's watching that that episode, with her talking about that was amazing. Like, I mean, it's Pam Martin Wells. I mean, if you or want to be like a serious bass angler, like everything that she's gone through and the development of, her career, who else could, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she's just, she's that good. Um, but, you know, the things that I've really been paying attention to with pond fishing, because before this year, I hadn't pond fished, and I hadn't. Um,
Really?
mm-mm.
Ever?
No. I
Wow.
mean, when I when I worked in youth corrections, when I was in grad school, we used to take the kids pond fishing, but I was just like helping them. I had never, I my parents had a boat on Lake Cumberland when I was growing up, but I was about the sea-doos and the tubing and,
The fun stuff.
yeah, and I would bluegill fish and stuff like that. But then when I came home after grad school, that's when I tournament fished and stuff with my dad and got real serious about it. So I did kind of skip that, but that was just because of, availability through my dad,
Yeah.
and then I got my own boat because I was going to go as a boater with the LBAA, and I medical has kind of keeps putting that off for me a little bit.
Hmm.
But like, um most people starting at the pond, this has kind of prepared me to, you know, to help them, because I never would have guessed some of the things that I've seen.
Hmm.
And ours are really overpopulated as well, or not overpopulated, overfished. They're
Fish.
definitely not overpopulated. But one of the things that I have noticed, like simple things, just walking up to the pond, you'll see them like leaving the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be incredibly quiet and mindful of, what you're doing because they will hang out on the shoreline a lot, which
Mhm.
to me, to the next point that I'm going to make is anytime you get to a pond, Kevin always tells me, make sure you cast on the bank first. So I'll cover the left side and the right side and make sure I get those areas really good, all the way to 7 foot off the bank. And I'll cast 3 or 4 times on each side because they'll be hanging out there. And you want to
Right.
cover that before you go walk in that area.
Mhm.
So,
And that is a really good point, because a lot of times when I get there, I'm like, okay, where's the picnic table that I'm gonna set my stuff, just kind of setting up, and I'm like, wait, where'd everybody go? Like, they're all, going out, deep or whatever, and but it's like they can feel your presence over top of them,
mm-hmm.
and
You too. I mean, depending on where the sun is, if there's a shadow.
mhm. Or even if there's not, like, I've been where the my shadow was behind me, and I wasn't even that close to the bank.
Mhm.
But if I was trying to like skip like under a dock, or and my skipping is not that great, because I'm going to always compare everybody to Pam Ridgel. So none of us are good.
Right.
but but trying to like skip up under, a tree or a dock, and it's like they hear the footsteps, they
Mhm.
hear the whizzing of the pole, or something like that, and it's, you really have to, like you said, they've seen everything. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, there goes a strike king spinnerbait,
Right.
there's a lizard.
We always try to be able to prevent to mitigate, the bass swimming away. We always try to prep our gear and what we're going to throw at the truck or at the house before we go fishing. So that as soon as we walk up to the water, we know what we're throwing and we're just casting. We set our bag down behind us and we cast so that
That's
we're
a good idea.
stirring all that up.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I never do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's time to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to prep the night before so we don't have to wake up as early and we get as much time as we can to fish whenever we
Yeah. Well, and I never go early. I guess that's probably the thing. That's one of the issues is that I can't get up early anymore,
Yeah.
And but that's a great idea, making sure everything is prepped to go
Hmm.
and you know exactly what you're going to start with and what the next thing's going to be and that's a good point because they will hear everything that you do.
Yep.
And one thing that to keep in mind too is like I forget where I had heard it about where I had read it or heard it, but somebody was just like, well, um if you're in a boat, you can go and you can fish further away and you can, which is all true, but take the most expensive bass boat on the market and they're getting ridiculous with prices.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, like, I mean, really ridiculous. But take the most expensive, the fastest, the prettiest.
It's not going to guarantee you fish.
Right. And more often than not, those people are still casting at the bank.
Right. I mean, that's the majority where bass fishing is. It's very rare for people to just go offshore in open water and then unless they know where that sweet spot is.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of people that do, you know, fish offshore on certain bodies of water and, bodies of
Mhm.
water that are known for that and stuff. But again, you you are able to catch the fish on the pond. And one of the things that I always recommend, especially in the summertime, is fish those storm systems. And I know that, you've seen me post that, on TikTok. Like, it was, I don't know, it was sometime last week. I was like, we're supposed to have like these damaging winds. They were calling for like possible tornadoes and I'm like, you know what? The fish should totally be biting right now and I could just go and spend like an hour. The storm totally missed us. We didn't even get a drop of rain. I'm
Oh,
not even kidding. But the wind picked up and then I did get that one nice fish.
off the
And yeah, it was actually it wouldn't take a regular like frog wouldn't take anything actually because I had thrown many things. He ended up taking this. It's called a Jimmy frog. It's literally like 2.5 inches long. Probably can't even tell on there.
no.
Um, made by Big Sexy Baits, and wouldn't like you can throw it like a buzz bait.
Uh-huh.
Um, you can, I mean, you can fish it on the
Just
bottom or anything,
first time.
but I tried to throw it almost like a buzz bait. Made the same exact cast as fish didn't touch it. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna bounce it. And had I actually that was in the video, but I think I took it out and put music on or something.
Mm.
But so I was just like bobbing it up and down across the water,
Mm-hmm.
and then he busted it.
Mashed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but playing so those storm systems and stuff like that and taking advantage of cloudy days
I
where
caught I had my best bass fishing day in terms of size to date on a rainy, cold day. I caught 3 4 pounders in
nice.
like an hour and a half.
Was it in the spring, summer,
It was
fall?
in April. It was
Nice.
cold and raining. And I was telling my dad that I was going fishing. He was like, "You're gonna catch some big ones today." And sure
It's
enough.
usually how it works. We like the LBAA was just in Fort Worth.
Hmm.
Like we were just there in March,
Where?
the very end of March. Ray Hubbard,
Oh,
or no,
Ray
yeah,
Robert,
Ray Hubbard.
the one up north. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, we were like literally just there, and we don't always get um to Texas because like a lot of the women are kind of like in the middle, so there's nowhere further past Texas that we go towards the west. but a lot are, like Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Missouri. And so, like, getting the ones from North Carolina to go to Texas or the Texas to go to North Carolina, it's really tough.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we were just there. See, if I would have known you then, you could have
Mhm.
been like, I'll fish it because it's right
Right.
here. But yeah. Um, well, I guess we'll go over like one of the things that I recommend doing, especially for like newer people who are trying to like learn, different things. And you probably have like a better process than I do. Um, but I kind of do like a top of the water column down unless top water is like completely off the table.
Yeah.
Like if that's the case, then I just put that down until conditions are good for it.
Yeah.
But if they are, and I don't even have a buzz bait here, um, yeah, I don't have a buzz bait here. Um, I had one of these in the car, and this is like a more of a walking bait.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it can also be like a kind of like a pop R too, but it's a really subtle one. You can't really do it like a really hard one, so it's more of like a walk the dog type bait. And these are really really good early in the morning, late in the evening, and if it's really like, I mean, calm to a little bit of chop on the water,
Mm-hmm.
um and so I really like to throw these. This is like the medium size one. It's by Runkle, and there's one that goes up. I think it's like 6 or 7 inches. I don't know. It's a big one.
That's a big one. Probably has three trebles.
I think it does. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge. I think it might be bigger than like the super spooks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's bigger than those.
They're good though. Kevin loves them. I have yet to get the motion of those down, but it's in the works. So I don't know much.
If you're throwing at schooling striper,
That's what
there.
you're using all weekend. I was just using the Whopper Plopper because it's easy for me. I don't know if you saw my video, one of the first videos I posted, but I have really weak wrists. And so
Hmm,
doing that motion and holding a bait caster in general is extremely exhausting for my hand.
gotcha.
Yesterday was, in fact, the first day I've ever been able to fish all day with no issues. But doing that motion that it takes
Hmm.
to be able to use one of those effectively, it would just wear out my hand.
Yeah, so the Whopper Plopper is
It's just
kind
easy.
of, yeah.
It's easy.
I mean, when we do the topwater striper in the fall, that's what we throw is a super spook, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because I mean, I don't know, that's just what's always worked. But
Yeah.
if they hit the Whopper Plopper, then why not?
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I also use a lot of like buzz baits. Like you said, you don't have any. Um, what else will we use that's topwater frogs? Obviously. Um, I wish I had.
Yeah, we use a lot of frogs around, up here, like towards the northern part of Kentucky where I live, but we don't use them when we go to other lakes in Kentucky because the further south we go, it's more like rock and wood
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But then a lot of the ponds around here that I fish, there's a lot of vegetation too.
Yeah.
So the frogs and stuff like that. Um, but those are, I really don't throw a whopper plopper. And I know that that's like the huge buzz. My dad loves a whopper plopper. Um, but for whatever reason, I mean, I never, I threw it for, I don't know, a couple of months when they first came out in lieu of my buzz bait.
Uh huh.
And I never could catch anything on it, like there's just, some things work for some people, and then when it doesn't give you any confidence, you really just stop throwing it.
And So last year, this was the first year that I landed a fish on a whopper plopper. I got my first one last June, and I was fishing in a bank tournament actually, and I had one on, and I didn't get him because I didn't know that for whopper ploppers you have to give them a second to get it, like you do with frogs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know that, and so I missed it, and I just didn't have confidence after that. And then I finally tried it again this year, and I have been killing it on the Whopper Plopper. I love it.
Nice.
I love
You
it. I go between the Whopper Plopper and the Chapo.
the chop that's the Guggen one with the
So it's the Berkeley. It's the same thing. But it's just by Berkeley.
oh, okay. Because
Hmm.
there's what is it called? I saw a Guggen one, an advertisement. Oh, it's the revolver. That's what it is. It's one with the instead of the spinning tail on the back. This
Hmm.
is not an advertisement for a Guggen whatever. But
The
anyway, disclaimer. But instead of having the thing on the back, it's the stomach.
mm.
So yeah, I haven't. I saw an advertisement for it and I'm just like, how original. I don't know. Anyway, I love them guys. They're cool. So like I just never it just never became a confidence one for me and I already had so many more that I
Yeah, yeah.
just
There's
stuck with
nothing wrong
my
with that. I mean, people have their preferences, and
mhm.
yeah,
The
it's funny that that people will hate on other people for using certain types of baits or brands or anything like that.
yeah,
Why? If you're confident with it,
I do. I don't like Guggen people.
well,
I'm
that's
just I'm just totally kidding. I don't hate on anybody for what they use or what they don't use. You know, there's I don't know, like there's such a competition with everybody with the Guggens
mm-hmm.
and the only way that I know that it originated was how they made it in the first place.
I don't
And
know.
oh, well, we won't get into all that. It's kind of like a running joke in the fishing field. So just look it up
Okay.
and it'll make you laugh. You'll be like, "Are you for real?" It's just funny. That's why everybody makes a joke about them.
I'm
Um,
yeah.
but yeah. So, um, let me see. I know I'm leaving something out of top water, but I can't think of what it is because I don't have it here. I usually have gear in my car for when I go like to the pond and then I have it on the boat and now I have everything scrambled.
I am in the exact same position as you right now. All
Right?
the boxes are on the boat, but I have like my random baits that are scattered throughout my house.
Yeah, when I got back from vacation, I had like everything was in my car at the house and I meant to actually do a video because when I opened my car, I the first place I was going was physical therapy and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm going to smell like dead fish, garlic and all this stuff because everything was just laying dormant in my car, but like that's how my car smells. It smells like a bait store.
Know what I'm getting you for Christmas?
Right. I don't think any air fresheners, unless it's a new car, I don't think any air fresheners are going to go with my lovely moving bait store. Although that does bring me I have to bring this up before I forget it. Are you pro like bait scent? Do you guys use it?
Yeah. Well,
Do
I mean,
you?
like opposed to it, but yeah, we absolutely use it. I dip my stuff in garlic dipping glow all the time.
That's right.
Mhm.
See, I wasn't ever one to use it. And it wasn't because I had anything against it. for whatever reason, we just never used it.
Yeah.
And so my buddy Eric with Liquid Willow Cat, he had sent me some of his scent, and this was part of the problem in the car. He had sent me like 4 bottles of scent with his baits, and he makes a lot of baits for walleye fishing.
Uh-huh.
And so all of his baits are soaked in like real leech blood and like all natural stuff, all natural willow cat stuff. And he right, and so he also makes this, it's liquid willow cat, and it's this is the wild harvested wild harvested fresh ground preserved willow cats. Right. So it sniffs real good.
There's no, that smell is not coming out of your car.
Well, I have it. It's not, I don't put it on any of my baits and let it get in the car.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I'm usually really conscientious about that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come out of the bag. Like I keep it in the bag.
Yeah.
And like I won't touch the bait, and I'll pour it on the bait into the, so it goes into the grass and stuff. But I I have totally missed the boat on this my entire life about
Smell
scent.
stuff. Yeah.
I really have. And so I have been using that, and I don't know, I mean I have no idea to tell if it brings bass in. Like I think I'm horrible at picking fish real estate, so I don't know that it brings fish to me, but I 100% think that it makes them hold on longer.
Yeah.
I
That
really do.
never thought of it like that, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
It's like a yeah.
like I think that they're, as opposed to being like, "Oh, there's nothing on this," or whatever like
Mhm.
that. I really do, because like I have um like really bad neuropathy in my hand. So
Mhm.
I don't always feel it when cuz I mean I used to feel really great when a bass would pick up a plastic bait and stuff, like
Oh.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And now like I would joke with my dad and be like, "Well, gosh, they could just like swim to the dam and I wouldn't feel them right now if I ain't watching." Like I've had to like turn into like a line watcher.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where it was like, man, if a fish isn't moving, I could have so many fish down there just digesting it, and if they don't move, I don't feel it. And I have definitely noticed a difference since I've been using that, and I think it's because they hold on longer and they're starting to swim away, and it's allowed me to catch more fish. So I'm convinced I have totally missed the boat on that. Which sucks because now I'm like, "Oh, man," you
So
know?
you mentioned something that makes me want to bring up a point in terms of bass fishing, which is keeping tension on the line. Have you covered this in your series?
Mm-mm.
So that's a very important aspect of bank fishing is making sure that if you are fishing plastics to never have slack in the line. Because if you do, then at any point in time a bass or whatever can come up and grab it and just drop it and spit it out. And you won't ever know if you have slack.
Right. And
Just
they could do that, I mean, anywhere,
yeah.
like even on the lakes.
Mhm.
And I'm, I get to the point, like, especially now, where I'm pretty bad at that. Not like where I get tired and I just kind of at the end of the day, I'm just like, well,
Slacking. If you will.
yeah, on tough days. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, you can't do that.
At that point, you're like, if I catch a fish, I catch a fish. At this point,
Right.
I've almost accepted my fate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great point, being conscientious of that you don't,
It
that
took
you
me a while to finally understand when Kevin would tell me that, like what he meant and the difference of feeling when a fish is picking up plastic versus whenever you don't have slack and the fish
Mhm.
is just tugging off with it.
Mhm.
You can absolutely feel when they have it in their mouth whenever you have that tension in the line.
Right.
I
And
did.
it's hard to explain to people what that is, but it's like that
Mhm.
tink.
Think.
But sometimes you don't even feel that because they just like they'll just gum
Yeah.
the back of the bait,
Yeah.
to where they're not even like actually inhaling it, or
Mhm.
like you brought up the frog thing, of course that's top water, so you see it and stuff like that. But usually, like with the frog, have you ever like seen where they'll come up, they'll grab it, they'll spit it out because it's
Mhm.
got all the gunk in it,
Mhm.
and then they bring it back in?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of times I haven't felt them like suck it down the second time.
Oh,
Like, I mean, yeah, like they'll,
because you just can't tell because of all the gunk.
maybe it's because it happens so fast. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure.
Yeah.
Or they just did it so, yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. I didn't even see that Derek was in here.
Hmm.
I don't know. Derek, are you on YouTube?
But and that also goes towards like what setups you're using.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're using a medium heavy setup, well, just depends on what line you're using and how you're gonna.
Yep.
So there's so many factors that play into it. It's crazy.
I, line, that was another thing that you know, I didn't downsize when I should have for the line. I was just like, they cannot tell the difference between 20-pound test line and 12 or 10. And, you know,
And it's not just about the that, but it's also about what bait you're using it for. Are
mm-hmm.
you throwing heavy or are you throwing lightweight?
Right.
And that's how I interpret it. It might not be that.
Well, even, throwing lighter line in the summer, like we do that around here just because, well, I don't want to say we as in everybody, but because my dad's never going to downsize a thing ever, but like downsizing everything because the water temperatures are so hot. It's always a high pressured system. And so it's like you assume that the bass are lethargic, and so instead of going fast, it's like, okay, I need to dead stick everything, get
Yeah.
this in front of their face. And so, yeah, it's like downsizing line, downsizing baits, downsizing weights, and
Giving
it gets
low presentation to where they don't have to exert much energy.
right, exactly. And that's when like the Ned rigs and Carolina rigs, and I did bring stuff for like the Ned rigs and all that because I had that in my car still because I'm always using them. Wow, I got these two. So this is the best company for anything like downsizing. This is the Big Sexy Bait
Mm-hmm.
Newt. And so for anybody,
Oh, that looks nice.
yeah, so for anybody, this is 3 inches, I think. This is perfect on a Ned rig, and especially like in rock, it just
Mm-hmm.
crawls over there, and I always chartreuse about that much of the tail. Oops.
Move it over. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, about that much of the tail all chartreuse. Um,
And
so
I think
love him.
chartreuse really catches their eye more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I dip my plastics a lot. And sometimes on my stick baits, I'll even double dip them on both sides.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I use the marker because I'm afraid of spilling it on the boat. So but
I
we
keep
have carpet.
it, and then I just open it up, keep it in the bag, just take the lid off and dip it, put it back in, and done with it.
I'm
But
too
it is
worried.
stinky, and I have got
It
my hands, and it lingers.
well, the garlic, well, it smells a lot better than that stuff does.
Yeah,
I'm
it
telling you. If
does.
you ever are mad at somebody, like somebody that you work with, you
Never,
know, I'm
never.
just saying, like, just sprinkle, like, if they have a chair with some that's fabric,
Oh no.
that's that's horrible. Don't ever. Why would anybody even think of that? That's a really bad person that would think of that.
Not naming any.
I know, right? Anyway, this is a kids channel. So, another thing, um, and this is oh, this is like this is my baby right here.
Let me see.
You know what? You know what it is.
I thought we didn't tell people about that.
You know, I I don't.
But you
Angie,
are.
huh?
I said, but you are.
Wait a minute. Which one are you telling? Which
I
one are
thought you
you
were talking about
thinking?
that one that you have in your hand.
Did you see it?
Just show it to me. Yeah. Is
Okay,
that what
don't
we're talking about? Is that not the secret weapon?
well, don't say everything.
Okay.
So, this is a Flappy Daddy, and this is made by Gambler. And it is a creature bait that you can throw pretty much on any rig that you want. It's just really versatile. And one of the reasons that I recommend starting to throw this, like if you're new to throwing plastics, one of the really good reasons to start throwing this is because of how thin that body is. So when you're new to setting the hook, you don't have a lot of plastic that hook has to go through.
It's a
The
good.
other side of that is the other thing that that we tell people is that a hook set doesn't cost a thing, which means anything that you don't cause, you set the hook, which means every tree limb, every stump, every rock, you set the hook. And because there's not a lot of plastic for the hook to go through, you're going to catch every stick, every log, every piece of grass. But that's also how you learn. You'll start to learn those little differences and what they feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to get used to that, you know, to what that feel is, and you've got to make sure that when it's actually a fish that hook is getting through the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lot of, I don't know, oil on it or juice or whatever. So the hook does go through it really, really good, and it's really thin for that. And I I never was good like on a Texas rig. I learned how to throw a Texas rig, and one day when my dad took a nap on the boat and he had a pack of these in black on the boat, and I didn't catch anything big, but I caught a lot of fish in one day. And I'm like, "Oh, I love these." And and it was just so for those of you that are new and you don't know how to, to fish a a plastic bait, which, you know, eventually you have to in bass fishing. Eventually the fish are on the bottom, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It took me a while. The first the first time I ever threw back plastics was actually on a boat with a buddy of ours, and I can't tell you how many times I thought I had a fish on, but it was just me on a branch or a limb or whatever. And then I finally did catch one, and it felt good.
But sometimes those branches, like if it's coming back to you and it's kind of, fluttering,
Hmm.
we still get fooled, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Especially whenever it like kind of pulls back at you and you're like, oh, oh,
right. We've
there.
all recently called for the net
Yeah.
on a something that wasn't breathing.
Free bass.
Right.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many lures I've lost in the water because I bait fish and I can't get into the water to retrieve them.
I know that actually.
It's
Um,
a thing.
yeah, that that sucks because I'm just now learning that, and I actually have footage where I will do a video on that.
It'll make you leave your expensive baits at home no matter how much you love them.
Yeah, one of them was a $16 Whopper Plopper that I had custom made. It wasn't in the water; it was in a tree.
Mm.
Whatever.
No big
Those
deal.
things go far.
Woo!
I know. I'm like, wait a minute.
That was supposed to go that far. Or that wasn't supposed to go there.
Yeah, so
And
I
season.
I have learned that. And actually, so Derek, um, he is a guy that makes these turbo minnows, which
I mean,
are, huh?
I said I'm intrigued.
Well, and so I've been. Are you sure, Derek? Because I have one in the package sitting right here, and
Oh, I couldn't see the comments. Now I can.
oh, can you see them now?
Yeah, can you still see my face if I have it pulled up?
Yeah. Um. So I've known him for several years on Twitter, but he makes turbo minnows, and I mean they make chatterbaits just non-existent. And so I've been asking him for a long time. I'm like, I really want some minis, and I've been kind of a brat about it, not
No.
like a brat, but like, come on, please, Derek, please make me some minis. And so, oh, okay. I thought we were like a special group. No. Um, so he did make some of the turbo minis, and I am I was like a kid on Christmas when he sent me them. You're on vacation, Derek. He got me some of them done right before he went on vacation, and he put them in the mail, and he was like, "Okay, you're the official tester," you know,
Oh,
which
that's exciting.
yeah, thank you so much, Derek. And
Do you have them?
so well, I don't have the minis, I don't think.
What? And they're called Turbo Minnows? I love that name. I think it's
The
is,
the
is that a common name? Or is that just something I've never heard of?
no, these are specific to him. He actually right now only sells to an exclusive group on um an exclusive group on Facebook. So I have one of his regular size ones. Here, I can take it out.
Yeah. I want to see it. I need to see the goodies.
Oh, I wish I would have brought one of the minis in, but he said I wasn't allowed to tell anybody.
So what is
But
so this is just the
this is the turbo mini. So this was just redesigned. Actually, I have one of the older ones too, I think.
Do you ever fish with live bait?
No, this is the closest thing to live bait I do. That's the liquid leech
Mm-hmm.
by Liquid Willow Cat, and I do those finesse style. But this is the the new designed. of the Turbo Minnow. And this one's the Glimmer Shad and 3/8. So
It looks.
this is the
It has a big chatterer. I don't know what that technical term is called, but it looks like it makes a lot of vibration.
mhm.
That was,
And this so I this is the brand new one, but there's I think quite a few of us have that have these size, the normal size turbo minnow for um the big group. But I had exclusive for the baby ones, and oh my gosh, I I'm just buying you out. If you're releasing them to everybody on the 15th, Derek, just go ahead, send them to me and I will buy you out. I thought when I saw how little they were, my initial thought was, I'm not sure that they'll run true. And I didn't have a spinning cast like with me. I only had my bait casters, but I put it on my bait caster that had it only had 10-pound test line because I usually throw a crankbait on it, and it was beautiful. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
I put a one of these. I just throw a bunch of my swim baits and like for my bag that I take to ponds, I just throw them all in one bag.
I was about to ask if you put a trailer on it.
I did. I put on
Do
the
you typically with
Runkle.
chatterbaits?
Hmm.
Do you typically put trailers on with your chatterbaits?
Mm-hmm.
What about your spinnerbaits?
I don't really throw a spinner bait that much because my dad loves spinner baits. And so he fishes them 75% of the time. So I don't I don't throw them that much.
I hear you.
But I put one of these on the mini
Oh yeah.
because this oh gosh, it looks huge on there. This is literally I don't have anything to compare it to. Um, but I even shortened it up. I mean, to make it even fit that. Look at me. I I took off like that much of the head, and this is a 3-inch spinner or 3-inch um, swim bait. So, and it just looked so good. Um, so I'm really excited about these. And Derek says more vibration and noises at lower speed.
I love that because I love
Well,
chatterbaits slow.
and it's funny that he says that because the reason that I even thought about this was about the whole bait thing and fishing from the bank is because I have had to get in the water a little bit with like just like up to my ankles, but still, because of the turbo minnow. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not losing it. I'm not losing it. And it was just far enough out of reach on a rock. And I knew that I'd be able to get it unhooked from a rock.
Mm-hmm.
But, that is one thing that sucks you know, from the bank is it's like,
Much harder to retrieve.
yeah. But he says that he's releasing these on the 15th. Derek, are you talking about the bigger turbo minnows or are you talking about the turbo minis too?
You look concerned.
Well, I do just because I love these turbo minis and the turbo minis are really difficult to make
Yeah.
because they if you picture like a bitsy jig,
Mm-mm.
a bitsy jig has like the little collar and the little um the I mean they're just so tiny and they're hand tied. They have like the little collar on them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm with you now. I just didn't know that's what it was called.
So they like, does it have like the where the gosh, the threads on the top are sticking up because they're shorter?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so he has to hand do all that, and then the blade is specialty done too.
Tiny.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
he not I'm not giving your age away, Derek, but he said he was like, "Them the bitsy ones, they're just too hard to make for my old hands."
Oh.
So, he's a great guy. I love Derek. So we'll all be watching for that, and I will Derek, you're not going to send it to me. I'm going to pay for the giveaway. We will do a giveaway for those when they get done, because we got to get those into the hands of some people. They are huge. If you need to follow him, because he's in Texas
Is
and
he
he catches
what's on?
um
Links or something? Text
do
them.
what?
Could you text me his links or something?
Yeah,
And then
I'll
I
send them to you. And I'll let you know what Facebook group he's in, so you can follow in there. He fishes tournaments in Texas, but he's further south.
Mhm.
But he's a great guy. Um, one other like thing, because there are so many baits that can be, fished on the bottom, and like the different techniques, and when it comes to plastics. And I'll probably end up doing, for those of you um that are going to be doing, the I guess the pond fishing, I'll probably be doing a separate video on just plastic baits, because there's just so much technique specific, and
Mhm.
just, I mean, there's just so much. um but when it comes to fishing, like that middle, I guess, middle water column, I do have to point out the crankbait. Are you a crankbait
Oh
person?
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. I do kind of remember you saying that.
I have so many crankbaits. The problem is like I buy crankbait baits because I like the way they look, and then I just never end up throwing them. So I have them just in boxes because they look pretty.
That's right. I do remember you saying that, because you had posted the video about, or yeah, about the. That's a great color though.
Mm-hmm. But I've
Like,
never found that one, even though I know it's great and I love chartreuse.
that is a
Yeah.
great,
I
great
just haven't had the
color.
conditions for me to feel comfortable or confident throwing that color.
It Anytime in stained water is a good time for.
Lake Whitney is a it's pretty
Oh,
color.
gotcha. Because this is one of my favorite colors for the Runkle. Because I throw
Yeah,
this is a
good color.
yeah, like a rattle trap
Oh,
ish.
that's cool. I like
This
that.
is Yeah, this is made by Runkle. So a lot of people will throw like a lipless crankbait, and it rattles. Did that come through?
Yes.
Okay.
Worth
But
it.
yeah. So um but a lot of people throw this a lot in the spring, and then they'll
Hmm.
throw it kind of going into the fall.
Hmm.
But I like to throw this like in lakes or even ponds where it's hard to get a crankbait around. Like where it just doesn't matter how you throw it, it's coming in with gunk and
Hmm.
all stuff like that. I'll still get my crankbaiting in with something like this.
And when you're reeling, keep your tip up so it's not getting in the gunk and it's just going right above it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, even sometimes that's hard, but there are just some times where it's just like, if you could throw your crankbait, you would catch a fish.
I use swim baits a lot too.
Do you?
Hmm.
I'm assuming you like them and they're one of your confidence.
Yeah, Yeah, just like I'll get the packs that are like already pre like just a swim jig with a hook already in it. I don't really like those that much because the eyes fall out easily, and to me that's the most important part of a swim bait. Uh,
Really?
but I've recently gotten into using more like swim jigs for the hooks and actually getting the trailers and putting them on there. But that's how I
Hmm.
do it, and I'll either just fish it continuously or I'll fish it slow and just keep it like in the specific pond that we fish. It's very grassy at the bottom, or like um, there's a lot of vegetation, and I'll
Yeah.
just keep it right above that. But like just jig it up, do a couple bounces, reel it in, do a couple bounces.
Do you ever do it on um like a drop shot or anything?
Mm-mm,
No.
no, not there because if it would just get nasty.
Gotcha. Hmm. What? There's a square bill. You cannot be without a square bill.
Nope.
And here's a good one. See, right now, like, because we don't, like, I haven't been going to the tournaments that I normally fish, and it's the tournaments that are further south that our water clears up. So,
Mm-hmm.
like Lake Cumberland, Green River, Barren River, those lakes are tend to be like super clear. Sometimes the lakes that we fish up by where I live, you could pour your coffee with cream in the water and you wouldn't even see it change colors. So we will throw the the bright colors and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't buy them because they were pretty.
Guilty.
That's okay. I'll have something exciting to tell you here soon.
Yay.
So just don't do anything with all those just yet.
Okay.
Just hold on to them. You're like, what am I going to do? Fish with them?
I
So here's a nice. This one's actually made by Six Gill.
a six skill? I don't have any of theirs. So I thought you were gonna say sixth since I use a lot of their crankbaits. But I've yet to buy a six skill lure.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
mean it
one's
looks
made
good.
by them. And yeah, this is a good one. They actually this one I won't put it in the thing, but it doesn't make a whole lot of noise, just a little bit. Um, but it deflects really, really good. Um, because I shouldn't I shouldn't have this anymore. That's how many times I should have lost it, but I didn't.
I
And
throw
so,
a lot of rooster tails too.
oh, I love those. I love rooster tails. Whenever it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you end up catching a lot of panfish or do you
Yeah. Yeah. I
but
mean it, but in the areas where we're using rooster tails, we know sand bass are there, which is typically what we catch on them. But we have caught a lot of bass on rooster tails.
yeah, and that's what I'll use to downsize as well, like I'll use like a bigger rooster tail, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
still targeting bass, but then, you'll catch nice bluegill on it too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, if I were bluegill fishing, I'd be really happy right now.
I've caught, or not me, but Kevin caught a big old bluegill on a square bill crankbait the other day.
Really?
Yeah. But like, so when we bank, we would bank fish a lot. There's our favorite spot on the lake. We can walk out. It's like a little peninsula, but we're like above knee deep in water. But the stripers and white bass will school over there, and they've schooled and like swam through our legs before.
Oh, see, I wouldn't.
It was actually it was cool. I mean, at that time we were only like calf deep, maybe, but yeah, I'm not a fan of bank fishing to be honest with you. I've seen, yeah, I'm not. I don't like spiders. Kevin's had a tarantula crawl up his leg. Yeah.
So you're like totally anti
No,
bank
I'm
fish.
not anti-bank fishing.
Is that what you said that you don't like because of the tarantula? I thought you said bank fishing.
No, I'm scared of bugs, but I still bank fish, obviously.
Oh,
It terrifies me. Like anytime I feel something on my legs, I'm like, is that a bug?
well, I'm not like petrified of bugs and stuff like that, but I, you know,
It's spiders for me.
I I feel ya. I'm like that with spiders and snakes, and it hasn't it
Mhm.
hasn't happened yet, but oh, it'll be a nice little show if the GoPro's running and it happens.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're right on the edge of like the main one that I go to, we're right on the edge of like just nothing but just woods. I'll have to turn around and take like a
Yeah.
picture because it's also like a scary movie. Like, I mean, really, it really is. It's like a scary movie.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but oh man, now I'm gonna be really paranoid. Oh well,
Do what?
I said I'm gonna be really paranoid now.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make you paranoid.
I'm gonna be like,
It was after we were like getting tons of rain and it was super flooded, if that helps you feel any better.
sure, tons. That's okay.
Sorry.
No, well, I mean, that. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are in the country. We've all got, different
Stuff.
thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we have tarantulas around here.
Hmm. I just prefer to be in a boat where I don't have to worry about those types of things. As bad.
Yeah, but you have snakes that'll come out of trees and fall in the boat.
Let's not talk about that.
I'm just saying. You have spiders
In that
that
in that
that
snake fishing spot, we had a snake pop its head out of the water 3 feet in front of us. I'm not exaggerating. I ran out of the water so fast.
well, I you will have spiders that will come
Yeah.
from who knows where into the boat, and you might not find them for a month. You'll like move a pack of baits and be like, "What?" It's yeah.
I was taking the boat cover off yesterday or the day before and saw a daddy long leg and I was like, ugh, ugh.
Well, at least it was just a daddy long leg. Here's another.
What is that? Oh, you do you use those a lot with the what's that on the end? Like what is that called? Just a blade
It's just an extra blade. hmm
instead of a treble hook.
Right. I mean, it I think increases the bites, but if they are not hitting it from the front, it will make you lose bites.
Mm.
But here's the thing, and this is what I always say, if you can't get a bite, you don't have a chance anyway. So, and like with this one, see, that's got a trapper tackle hook on it. Those are a lot harder for them to throw. And so the ones that are like that, I try to put those hooks on them, but I'm running out and they're out of business. So
Oh, bummer. I've got
yeah,
I've got to do that to some of my crankbaits because I haven't
it
ever.
makes a huge difference. Watch my not on this one, but my YouTube. Watch the video where I got third place at Green River last year
Okay.
because I should have won that tournament by I don't even know how much I should have. But I was too lazy and too hot to sit down and change my treble hooks. So I
Mm,
didn't win it. Here's another one I like. And you know what? Sadly to say, I think that's Guggen.
I know. I have a couple Guggen hard baits. I don't like their plastics. I think they're just too overpriced. That's for the quality. It's just overpriced. That's it. That's my opinion. And
Well, and you know what? And that's why I sent that information to you about, you know, about Runkle is because like like seriously, you get double the amount of plastics that you do in those
mhm,
other bait companies and for, about the same price, a little bit less, but and they don't break in the first fish.
yeah. No,
But I yeah, some of the bait companies are just ridiculous when it comes to that. I just have one more I have to show. Where did it go? Oh yeah, there it is. It actually is the Runkle. And I have to show this because this has been the one I have caught probably 90% of my fish on this year. And it is the Runkle.
is that one of the ones that you sent me?
Yeah, I sent it to you in white though. This is the 4-inch one. And the color on this one is the green watermelon.
I was
They
trying to
ha-
figure out what the color was on the green ones that you sent me.
they have so many different versions of green. The last I heard, they were actually trying to take some of them down, and this one's a green pumpkin. It doesn't even say what the color is for the green. That's a 5-inch one. But this year, this is another 5-inch. This is pretty much what most of my fish have been on, has been the
Yeah.
black this year for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And like one of the things that I love the most about a Cinco is you can fish it in so many different ways because I love throwing it wacky rigged, but I also like throwing it, if I can only throw it into like someplace where I can't throw it wacky rigged, like it'll get hung up. I can
Mhm.
still just turn it around real quick and do it, weedless and throw it in there. Um, but I also, and I would have never done this before this year, but talking and watching some of the lady on the women's tour, and they they know how to use these in so many different ways that I would have never thought.
Mhm.
Um, I've learned different ways to throw this just by them, that are away from the typical like Texas rig weightless.
Which is
So,
typically that's what I go to because that's what I know. Like
hmm
you, I didn't even know that existed. I've learned a lot of on TikTok, on
hmm
fish TikTok about
yeah,
big.
the and and I just I haven't really gone through enough of the videos really to see what people post on there as far as like the learning type stuff, and I really should do that. But I usually look at like YouTube type stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a lot just from the LBAA ladies,
And
because they love their Cincos. We have a lot of ladies that are actually um, sponsored by Gary Yamamoto, and when I say sponsored, I mean like they actually go to his ranch and have like dinner with him and fish at his ponds and like sponsored by him,
that's cool.
you know. I just don't personally like paying for a name. And they don't because they're sponsored, but you
Expensive.
know, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
you know,
You use when you wacky rig fish, what hooks do you use?
I mean, it depends. Like during the summer, I'll go to a thinner type. Let me see if I've got one. I should. Because it's just going to be like a regular Gamagatsu. Actually, this is one of the thicker ones. And if I'm throwing a bigger one, like a bigger, like one of the 5 or 6, then I'll just use.
Is that just an EW? I can't
hmm
tell. It is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's an offset shank, extra wide gap. This is the 4-aught. Um, and if I'm throwing the smaller one, I actually want a 3-aught.
Yeah,
But if I have enough, like if I'm actually in a tournament, I'll actually use a trapper tackle.
and that's that company that's not in business anymore.
Yeah,
Bummer.
I'll actually
Cool.
use them. I think that, I mean, from what I heard, they they're in some legal battle um over a patent or something like that, and I think they're going to try and come back under a different name. I hope to God they do. Um, and I they might even have some still on sale on Tackle Warehouse. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was a group of us that were close with the owner of him on Twitter. And so he told us before he was going out of business, and all of us were like, take our money, take our money.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was really bummed when he left because I used that on everything
Mm-hmm.
because they don't throw it. I promise you that they don't throw it as much. They get once their jaw slips in that little box, they they just don't have enough room to shake it. It's insane.
That's cool.
But yeah, but I just try to, like, in the summer, I just like the lighter wire
Mm-hmm.
because it's finesseful. Like the Cincos will fall slower.
Right.
What
Yeah.
do you guys use?
We usually use three, or we use 4-aught
Yeah,
wacky. Typically, sometimes we'll go down to three, up to five, depends on what we're throwing.
yeah. I mean, I do use 5 on some,
Yeah, like our
but
hills we'll use fives on.
yeah. Hmm.
Brush
Well,
on.
I appreciate you hanging out tonight.
Yeah, of course, it was fun.
Um, is there, anything that you want to, I don't know.
No, I feel like we got off topic a lot, but I feel like we covered some good stuff.
Yeah, we did. It's hard not to,
No, and you're
because
and
yeah,
I'm a talker.
I am too. And I mean, everybody knows it, but like that's, I and I had told Angie that, like, I didn't like when I had come up with the idea, I didn't want everything to be scripted.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I wanted people to be able to pop in, ask questions, email the show, like for guests that come on, the sponsors that they have. Like, when we had, the girls on from the LBAA, like we would have their list, put their sponsors up, put up, links and stuff. Like, I just want it to be
a little bit more
laid
formal, a little
right. Just
comfortable.
laid exactly laid back, for everybody, and kind of approach it like that. I don't want it to be so rigid.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that. I mean,
you know
it's been awesome.
So I appreciate that. And like I said, I mean, I love that we met on TikTok.
It's
Um, I have no doubt that, I'll be having other people on from TikTok because there are some great ladies on TikTok.
hmm
And what's funny about it is they're just as much my type of people as the people that I know through fishing and everywhere else. Like,
and you
you
never
know,
have thought that whenever you first get on TikTok.
no, never.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't I didn't really want to get on TikTok. Let's just say that. But yeah, like I'm glad that I did. I think
Yeah.
that I was meant to be there for a reason, and I'm super stoked about it. So,
Yeah.
there's actually several of the girls, that we all like on each other. A couple of them are actually in Kentucky. So,
It's
you're the one way out west.
I know. I'm trying to meet all the people,
I know. It's a great community.
It's
The fishing world is amazing.
mhm. It is.
So, but we'll have you back on,
Yeah.
and you're gonna hear me telling you all the time that you need to sign up for the LBAA. So
I'd love to. I'd love to. We'll
you're
see.
going to.
I
You
like your
will. You will. I already know. You won't be able to help it.
I know. You're probably right. You are right.
Exactly. All right, lady. Well, I will see you soon, and everybody else, just check for the posting for next week. And I'm not 100% sure what we're going to be doing just yet. I'm going to wait for Angie to get back into town and let me know what she's been up to, and we will go from there. So, all right, everybody. Good night.
Thanks.
See you, Megan.
Bye.